Hey everyone, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. I am so excited to share my newest set from Gina K Designs with you, releasing this Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, over at Stamp TV and Gina K Designs. This is Stately Flowers 10. So I started this series, gosh, it's probably been about 4 years ago now. It's taken a long time to release almost 50 flowers for all the states. So thanks for hanging in there with me for these 4. We are almost to the end of the series. Got some really fun surprises at the end, but this is one of my favorites because of this seed packet label that I'm going to be sharing today in this video. So anyway, we've got 4 new states represented in this particular set. We've got the dogwood, the Oregon grape, and the sagebrush. Very different flowers. We can make some really cool projects with it, but this seed packet is going to be so versatile because it's a very large stamp. It's great for framing up just on its own on a single layer card, which is what I'm going to be showing you today. But I'm also going to be doing really fun things with it, like shaker cards and just some other different layouts. But imagine putting any of the almost probably 40 plus flowers that we have now in the series inside of this frame. You could also use it with other flowers too, and I've got some really cute ideas for maybe things that we can do that you could pretend to grow other than flowers, which would be really fun. So just kind of start racking your brain for some of the images that you could use in this set. So let's begin on the project. We're going to be making this card today. Pretty minimal supplies for it. I'm going to be using the Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. You could also use Copics, and I'm going to have some upcoming videos showing how to color these different images with the Zig Clean markers. Okay, so I'm going to need a large block or a Cuttlebug plate for this stamp because it's pretty big. It's almost 3 inches by almost 4 inches. And then some smaller smaller blocks for the smaller images in that set. The ink pads that I'm using today, I've got the Memento Tuxedo Black for my greetings and the flowers, and then I'm going to be using 2 different greens. I've got the Gina K Grass Green and the Fresh Asparagus. The markers that I'm going to be using today, I've got the PP1, the BP2, the BP7, the IG4, the DG2, the CG1, the DG3, and then finally the EB6 for the branch. Just got the wink of Stella for putting a little glitter on those flowers. Some adhesive pearls for accenting a flower. I've got, actually I don't even need any adhesive today on this card because it's single layer. That's awesome. And then I've got some scissors just for cutting out the masks. So you're also going to be using just some scrap paper that you can make masks for this set, and I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Very simple, but they're going to be really, really versatile for doing all of your projects with this set going forward. So when you first receive the set, what I like to do to make my masks is I like to just ink the whole thing up and then smack it down onto a piece of paper. So I'm not going to be cutting out the different words here, but I've got all of my images. You'll also see that they're kind of spotty, and that's because this was the first time that I inked up the set. With the clear sets, you're going to be pulling off another piece of acetate, and they have a little bit of residue on them still from manufacturing. So especially with a bold stamp like this, I would recommend that you take a pencil which has an eraser on it, and that you just rub it over the surface of the stamp and then remove the little crumbs. And I can show you then, just from re-inking it after I did that conditioning with that eraser, this is how solid it is. So you can see what a huge difference that makes. And then over time, the more and more and more that you stamp it, the more solid that it will get. So I haven't cut these out yet because I haven't had a chance to make any cards where I've needed those masks, but I'm going to be doing some reverse masking today. So I showed you something kind of similar in my Fabulous Frame video when I was introducing the set, that you want to go ahead and stamp this label 2 more times. And in one of the labels, you're going to cut out this middle section. That way, when you stamp it, you can add the flower in, and the stems and the leaves and things are not going to go over that image. You're going to have that nice crisp image that's perfectly framed inside of this opening. On the second one, I want you to cut out just this top portion, and that is going to allow you to reverse mask larger greetings or other little images to create this little pattern. So I use the smaller dogwood here to coordinate with the large one that is our focal point. Okay, So let's begin. You're also going to need some cardstock. So I went to my drawer and found I only have my layering weight cardstock left over in the white. So I've got to order that immediately, but I do have the ivory. So I'm going to ask you which version you like better at the end. It's going to look very similar, but it's going to give it kind of more of a vintage feel anytime you have that kind of yellow or creamy ivory on your project instead of the bright white. But still going to be a very similar card. Either way is going to work. The colors will look a little deeper. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to ink this up. You want to use the lighter green, which is the grass green, so that our darker green will show up on top of it. So I'm going to ink all over so you can see it's still resisting a little bit. So I kind of like to twist the pad just the tiniest bit to get it really solid. And if you're seeing that it looks like you're kind of getting the texture of that pad, it might be time to re-ink this pad. So let me go ahead and grab that green, and I'm going to add just a little bit more ink to it. So we've got coordinating inkers for all of these pads at Gina K Designs, and you can do some really fun acetate or painting techniques with these in addition to just having them to re-ink your pad to make sure they're nice and juicy. My greens probably get inked more often than the other ones just because I do use them a lot for leaves and things. Okay, so just going to turn this over. I've already scored it, but you want to keep it flat until you're done with all your stamping so it doesn't pop up. And then I'm just going to find the middle, pardon my head, and then just lay it right down. And I just love that I don't have to do anything else on this card for just a really sharp framed look. I just love that solid border all around. But if you want to trim this down and have it on a colored card base, you could do that. Okay, so now it's nice and solid. This color is going to fade just a little bit as it dries. But you could also cut this out with a die or just with your trimmer. You could do some scoring around it. So I'll show you some other ideas for how to use that in future videos. Now let's grab that mask, and I'm going to cover this up, and then I'm going to take my darker pad, the fresh asparagus, and then this little tiny dogwood flower, and I'm just going to actually, hang on, I wanted to, before I do that, I want to stamp that word, the dogwood, into, where is it? Into the middle. So I don't want to have a flower going over it because I want it to be easy to read. Okay, so I'm going to put this just right in the middle with the black. Okay, and then I'm just going to stamp this little flower all around it. So you will see all these different stamp images on the edges of the mask if you reuse it, but that's fine. And I just like that because it's showing that it's coordinating with that center image. Okay, so then you're going to remove it. Now let's go ahead and stamp our greetings below. So I'm going to use birthday and blessings, and these are two separate words so that you can do them in different places or just use one or the other. I also have a happy, so you can make it say happy birthday if you want. But I'm going to do birthday and blessings at the bottom. Okay. So I'm going to do birthday first. And then the blessings. Hang on, let me get that straight on the block. There we go. Okay. So birthday, blessings. And I've sized this that even the longest word, longest state, I think it was Massachusetts, you can fit in there. So don't worry about that. Now let's go ahead and we're going to stamp our flower. So we're going to grab our mask again, and this time use this round opening. And with a large stamp like this, you might want to ink it up face up and just hold it to the light to make sure it all looks wet, that you've got all those little details, and just a little bit more on that middle part there. Okay, and there's many different ways that you can turn this to get different looks. So I'm going to do it about like this, and I can see which way I did it from before because it overlapped the mask, and then pull it away. Isn't that pretty? I love dogwoods. I think they're just one of the most romantic looking flowers. They have those deep, deep veins on their petals. It just looks like bisque porcelain. It's so pretty. Okay, so now let's do our coloring. So I'm going to begin by doing the DG2 in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on the leaves as well while I have the marker out. And like the other flowers in this line, they really color themselves. There's a lot of shading within the image, so it shows you where to put the color, but it also deepens all those colors, so you don't have to do a lot of shading. So I'm just going to take the darker green and dot it in just a few places. Not all of them, but just a few to make some stand out more than others. And then just do just a little bit where you see those darker lines, and you can blend that if you want. Then I'm going to take this CG1, and I love having just like almost a neon kind of yellow or green on my flower cards, because it just really, it's just like that really new life, that little first burst of spring, that really pale yellow green. And if you Google dogwoods, you'll see that you can color them many different ways. I always say with flowers to go ahead and color them whatever color you want, even if that doesn't exist in nature. But some of them are just completely white. Some of them just have the pink at the tips, like this one that we're going to be coloring today. I'm going to lay this flat so you can see where we're going with it. Some are almost completely pink, so I'll show you different ways to color them in my different videos. Even that is just really pretty right there. I love black, green, and kind of yellow together on white cards or ivory cards. Now let's do our brown. And then shading the pink is what you'll spend the most time on, and that is going to be up to you how blended or how dark that you want them to be, but you could stop right there if you wanted. But let's go ahead and add a little of the pink. So I'm going to do the medium shade of the pink just at the ends first. And then I'm going to blend that down with the lightest pink. And then I'm going to add just a touch of the really, really deep pink. It almost looks like just a little drop of blood there at the end. Really striking. Okay, that one kind of goes off the edge, so I'm not putting it on that one. Then I'm going to do just a touch of this BP7. Oh, and someone asked me, and I like that idea, to put the cap lid. So I will try to remember that. That's just going to be a new habit I have to get into. So just right there at the tip, and that just really makes it pop. Just to add that deeper pink. It kind of tones down how bright that one pink is, although we're going to be doing that with the PP1. Okay, so now I'm going to take this PP1. Oh wait, this is not the right one. That is not the one I used. Hang on, let me look at my color chart, because that is much darker than I thought it was going to be. Does not look like it. All right, I'm going to press on because that's what I said that I used. Oh, that can't be it. Abort, abort. No, I'm going to keep going, but I've got to figure out which marker I use because it was much paler, as you can see. So hang on. Find the other marker I used. Unless I put the wrong caps on that one, which is completely possible. All right, so let's do some testing here. Is it the CR2? No. Okay. Let me try doing this on the fly here. Maybe the FS6. I cannot believe this. Okay, I'm going to do the FS6. Yeah, that's looking better, but it's still darker than I remembered. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling that color down onto the petals. Hey, bonus points if any of y'all can figure out which marker I actually used. I had them all out. Maybe it rolled on the floor, but looking at this chart, I don't know. Okay. Still getting a similar look. The other thing I guess I should say, and now I'm realizing that it probably was the PP1, because this is a darker cardstock, you can see this green looks darker than this green, and the fresh asparagus looks darker than that fresh asparagus. So it may just be the change in the cardstock. I think that's what it is. So I would go ahead and stick with that PP1 if you're using the white. Sorry about that. Sorry to get confusing. Keeping it real here. You know, we have mistakes and everything in these videos. Okay, then I'm going to put just a little bit of the clear, and I'm just going to swirl this all over, but if you want to just limit it to the centers, you can do that. But I hope that you can see the sparkle under my lights that's adding. And you can go down the stem. I just put it all over. So pretty. And it's not going to make your coloring bleed or anything like that. And then finally, you don't want to forget the shadow. So I'm using the IG4, and I'm just going to be going off to the left of the image everywhere. So, and see, this shadow is looking a lot darker on the ivory too. So, and it's not just the color of the cardstock, there's different dyes and things that they use within the paper. So not just the shade that it's ivory, but it might just react a little bit differently with the markers. So that's something to keep in mind. I do like how this is turning out. I was just surprised that it was darker than I thought. And then I remembered midway, I'm not using the same color cardstock, so I have to expect a slightly different result. Okay, that's it. And then we're gonna just put one little pearl, just like to add a little bit of dimension to all my cards when I can, even when it's a single layer card. And so I'm just putting this one tiny little pearl in the center. But if you want to add more accents and you want to have more little pearls all over, then by all means do that. You might recognize this little embellishment here. This is actually coordinating with one of the images in my fabulous frame fillers set. So I repeated that again here to decorate this label. Okay, so that's it. You got to tell me now which one you like better, the A, which is on the white, or the B, which is on the ivory. I am so excited about this set. I can't even stand it. So I'm really looking forward to making some new videos for you, and I hope you will join us at our Stamp TV party on Thursday night, July 28th, 7 p.m. Stamp TV. It's a lot of fun. We have chatting, we've got games, we've got contests, things like that. So anyway, please join us for the party, and let me know if you have any questions about this or requests for videos. Next one I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be showing these Zig Clean color markers and coloring another image in that set. Thank you for watching today. God bless.